All right, so I'm back again for our third installment so far this week, for week 2. And so I thought in this video we're going to talk about the resume and cover letter assignment that's due this week, next Sunday. I'm recording this on Sunday, so the 21st. And this is where you'll get your first draft of a resume as well as a cover letter and post that to the peer review forum. And then that will set us up next week for your first assignment for that week, which is to provide some critique and some feedback, and we'll talk more about that later on the week. But just to kind of give you an idea, so I'm going to minimize here, and again, in week 2 folder and course materials, Sunday, as you'll notice over here, post draft of resume and cover letter to peer review forum. All right, so scroll down here and let's look here. All right, so in this particular video, we're going to review the resume and cover letter. We'll look at the assignment description. I want to talk to you a little bit about the rubric, and then I'll talk to you about the peer review forum, how to upload and what to post. And so we're going to go through these things here as well. All right, so let's start with the assignment description. I'll bring that screen back up here in a minute. So, resume and cover letter assignment description right here, right from Blackboard. And then we wait patiently. Okay, here it is. All right, so we're looking for a well-designed and written resume and job application letter for your essential business documents. And so let's take a look at the actual assignment prompt starting right here. First thing you want to do is find an actual job posted or an internship in your field for which you are or will be qualified when you're done. So I've had students take this in 2 different directions. Number one, you can find your ultimate job that you would be qualified for upon your completion of your education. I've had a lot of students who at this particular point are actively seeking internships or other types of part-time jobs or whatever in their field that can kind of help get their foot in the door, start getting some experience, and so and those are perfectly fine as well. So whichever one you feel is most beneficial to you, so you get to kind of choose, so to speak, on this. So find something that either A, you're going to be interested in when you are done with your education, or B, take the other route and find something within your field that you are actually considering that's perhaps up and coming. So you have to find the job posting, and then as a response to that job posting, you'll craft or create a resume that responds to that particular posting. The second thing you'll do is write a cover letter that also responds directly to, as you will read and as you are reading this week in Anderson. He talks about some very specific things in the cover letter that you want to make sure that you acknowledge and take care of. So, and we kind of allude to this right here. If possible, right, address your letter to the actual staff member doing the hiring at your company. So as we want to try to avoid as much as possible to whom it may concern. Explain why you would be a good fit at the company, and maybe describe what you can offer the company and clarify your education experience to support whatever your assertions are that you will be the prime good candidate for this job. And then another thing that Anderson talks about is to demonstrate that you have knowledge of the company, its operations, its mission, and its methods. This is generally, you will find this in the towards the beginning of the first paragraph, perhaps, when you a lot of times you obviously acknowledge that you are writing this cover letter to apply for a specific position, what the specific position is, and then perhaps then you would go into and demonstrate some knowledge of the company in that before you get to the point where you're talking about yourself, so to speak. Okay, so and we won't need the proof of the job posting necessarily this week, but when you do turn it in on May 28th, I will need the job posting. So when you find that job or you find that internship or whatever it is, make sure you save that. So I only need a couple of paragraphs. You can just kind of paste it into a PDF. Your resume should be 1 page, approximately 200 words, and your cover letter should be 1 page, approximately 200 words. Okay? I say I'm going to look at the rubric too, so I'm just going to glance at it. You'll notice it's a pretty standard rubric that I'll use for pretty much everything. Audience and purpose, and we're talking about the audience. How well did you analyze your audience? Now, in this case, it's going to be the company. Obviously, you're writing it to a specific person, but you want to think about the company itself, because you might not know the person, and you want to tailor that communication to that audience. And then here it says, is your document useful? All right, well, we're learning some things this week about how to make a document useful. Research, again, kind of speaks to, it will show up in your audience and your purpose, right? How well did you investigate the subject? So how well did you pull out some things or cull some interesting information from about the company in your cover letter? Ethical research method, probably shouldn't have to worry about that here. Do you show the results of that research in this text? This won't be quoting necessarily unless you just feel that you want to. But in this case, your research will show in your content. So this here is content organization. Is it all clear? You employ the appropriate structure for this audience and purpose. Obviously, in this case, the purpose here is it's a resume. So you're demonstrating in the cover letter, you're demonstrating something different. So you're going to have different approaches, what we call here a superstructure, which you'll read about in Anderson. And now we're talking about standardized forms of technical organization. And here this generally says moving from general to particular or writing in descending order of priority. Again, Anderson will talk a little bit about that when it comes to, as I've hinted already, for you to talk about the order perhaps of the previous jobs and not necessarily always chronological. Okay, format design. Usable, attractive, easy to navigate, effective use of visuals, labels, captions, color choices. Then start seeing some familiar words down here, white space. That's a fancy way of saying you could use tables and other things like that to utilize white space to make it active. This is when we might talk about gridding, right? You see your page set up as a grid, right? You maybe put it into 4 quadrants, and that kind of comes more from the Purdue Owl. And then headers, and then it says etc. We're also going to talk about hierarchy. We're going to talk about sans and serif and sans serif fonts, things of that nature. Then we have grammar and style. Do you write in an effective technical prose style? Technical prose style basically means you attended to all the things that are necessary. And the key ones here are spelling, grammar. Be concise, especially when it comes to listing the things about which you feel that you perhaps performed at a previous job. So in that aspect, instead of maybe putting out like an entire paragraph, you might think about ways that you could make that more concise and duties that you performed or whatever. So, and you'll see some of that too in some of the samples that you find. Your tone and your tone comes into play, especially in your cover letter. All right, so those are things I just wanted to go over with you. I'll be looking at a lot of those things and how they relate to technical communication, especially when it comes to audience, right? This particular way of addressing an audience, and Anderson will help you with that as well as you read that. All right, so let's move back over to, let's go back to here, and let's back up one. And now let's talk about actually posting this. So now that once you get that all completed and you're all set, ready to post, you'll come in here, you'll see a blank screen. More than likely you'll hit create thread, which is right here. All right, and this is where we have these instructions, and I tell you to title it a certain way. It goes in the subject line, and then down here it's got attachments, and this is where you will browse your computer, I'm assuming, to attach files because you don't have anything in the content collection. So browse your computer, and you will attach your file. And I say file singularly on purpose, so let's go back here to my notes for this particular video. And in this video here, we're kind of helping you kind of clarify what you do when you're going to post this thing. So you'll post your resume and cover letter, how to post, as we just kind of went over quickly. Select create thread. In the subject line, title your thread using last name, first name, and I'll use my name for the example. So here it would be Hamilton_Corey - resume _ cover and letter. Attach file. Your resume and cover letter should be one page, each be one page, so save both into one document. And this will make peer review much easier next week, okay? And post this by Sunday, May 21st. I know this video is a little bit long, but in the last few seconds here, I do want to say, when it comes to designing your resume, please make sure that you are cognizant and aware of the fact that not only are you aware of the template designs and things that are out there, and while they might be useful and helpful, they are not necessarily designed using the principles that we're reading from Kramer and Bernhardt or from Anderson. So I found that students a lot of times will start using one of those templates and then struggle to move things. So while a template may provide some useful ideas, I obviously encourage you to look at those. I highly recommend that when you build and design your own resume, you start from scratch so that you can set up the tables. You are in charge, and as you will find out when you read Kramer Bernhardt, you are in control of the document. Use a template. It's hard to be in control of that thing. You don't know how they set it up, and then to try to move things around, and that can be very, very cumbersome. And eventually, you have to end up starting over anyway. So save yourself some time, and just start right from the get-go on your own. All right, that's it for me for today. I think that's all the videos for now. Maybe we'll think of something later this week, but I will be in touch. I wish you all a most wonderful week. Please let me know if there's anything I can do. Just give me an email. Bye.